Hello and welcome back to Let's Begin Again podcast. I am your host Patricia Peña here on another Monday, another new week, another wonderful day. Today we're recording straight up from Austin, Texas, and it's been an eventful past week. I just found out that I'm moving to Arizona in the next couple of weeks due to work. Plus, it's been a good couple of weeks. A lot of news, a lot of work, a lot of eventful things happening. I am able to spend this week off here in Austin, Texas, in my home, around surrounded by friends and love, just love overall. I want to thank you guys for the amount of love and support you guys give me each and every week. I know this is only episode 3, but so far the amount of love and support that I have received for this podcast. And if you listen to this podcast while you're driving home or while you're driving to work or in a long road trip or just while you're doing the dishes, I don't care in what setting. I'm just grateful to be led into your life each week, and I hope that we just keep growing this community here on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you listen to this podcast. This week, I want to remind you guys to go follow me on Instagram at patriciapilar.pina. That will be PATRICIAPILAR.PENA, where I will be posting a Q&A box, or how I would like to start calling it, a box of ideas, where you guys get to input your ideas for new episodes here on the podcast. And like I said in the first episode, it can be anything and everything. It can be dogs, it can be cats, it can be apples, it can be oranges, it can be papayas, it can be journaling, it can be manifesting, it can be Panama, it can be work, it can be lifestyle, it can be really anything you want to talk about. Even if it's just a boo, that makes things even more spicy, more interesting. And this is something that I have not asked you guys yet, but I will be very, very thankful. Well, more than I already am. I guess I would just be highly grateful if you guys are able to rate and review this podcast wherever you're listening at. Because in that way, we get to make this podcast more visible for people out there trying to find similar topics that we discuss here in this podcast, so we more people get to enjoy it. So like I always say, if it's good, share it, and the more you share it, the more good things come back to you. So let's rate and review this podcast so we can get more people into this. News coming up. If you notice, last week I left a webpage address in my description, and that said patriciappina.com. That will be the website for me overall, and that will have links to the Spotify, links to the Apple, links to the YouTube channel. It would also have links to my IGTV video regarding climate change, which is quite, if you like last week's episode, I think you should go ahead and find that video. It's in my webpage, and it will be on Climate Change 101 tab, and then you will find the link to the video. It goes really, really dive into climate change and the socioeconomical aspects of it as well. So if you like last week's episode, feel free to go to my webpage and watch that video. And then you will also find all the sources from last week's episode there as well. This episode today has a lot of sources too, because it was a topic that is quite unknown on me. I had to do a lot of research and a lot of sources for this episode. I'm still trying to figure out whether I want to put them in the description or if I should just put a source link in my web page so you guys can find sources for each individual episode here on this podcast. And then I slowly want to transition to not only add sources into my web page, but I also want to add the script and my notes on each episode. And I think that you guys will really enjoy that. So a lot of new things coming up for you guys, and I hope you guys liked it. Aside from all of that, in my webpage you can also find little pieces of my journal, of my personal journal, in the more poetic side. And oh, I also have monthly columns that I post there. If you would like to join and see any updates on my webpage, you can also subscribe and leave your email there, and I will give you an update on anything new every so often. I live and work in Oklahoma right now, but I live in Austin too. So I guess I have a permanent address, and then I have where I work address, and that will be Oklahoma, soon to be Arizona. But I live here in Austin, and every time I come, the more I feel like home. The more I build relationships with people around the area. And also, once I get here, I always try to go and shop or go to all the vintage shops nearby. There's some really vintage shops here. If you're in Austin, or if you have any future plans to traveling to Austin and you love thrift shops or vintage shops overall, I highly, highly, highly recommend going to the North Loop in Austin, and you will find a vintage thrift shop in every corner. And they have all from boots, like cowboy boots, to clothing, to glassware, to furniture, and all in good states. I can almost say that my house is made out of probably about 50-60% vintage thrift shop furniture in all great conditions. So highly recommend that. And then other than that, I was able to go to Blues on the Green, which is hosted in Selkirk Park, and it's just basically a free festival where you just go grab a picnic, and also you can grab drinks, even though it's not like you can drink in public, but it's quite easily to just, bring a little some and just sit down and have a little picnic while you listen to music. And that's for 2 days. I think there's another one being hosted in July. So if you want to go to their web page, or follow When, Where, What Austin, Texas, they're always keeping updates on festivals, events, nightclubs, or anything really. If you're in the area, that's who to follow to be on the loop on everything, and if you want to do stuff. Whenever I'm busy and chaotic weeks, I love life, and I try to be present and meditate and walk princess and appreciate nature and be grateful, and I am. But it's something about the times where life is starting to slow down, even if it's just for a day or two or three or a week, that you're really able to just float into awareness, I guess, and see everything overall. So I'm not only grateful for today and the moment, and nature and princess and all this, but I'm also grateful about life as a whole, of being able to be here in Austin, of being able to move to Arizona, which is so beautiful nature wise. Yes, it's farther from Austin, but it's beautiful. And to have this excitement of new adventure, new housing, new places, and yes, it's gonna suck to move in and out, but I know it's gonna be worth it. I want to pass this good energy, this gratefulness, this awareness, all of this to you guys in your life, and take a moment to think about all the things that you're grateful for today, this week, this month, and this life. Whether it's your puppy, your mama, your work, your housing, for having food, whatever it is, take some time to be grateful about those too. Now, without further ado, let's start this week's episode. And I do gotta tell you guys, I love this topic. It took a lot of research on my end, but it's very not on my lane. Therefore, it requires a lot of research. But I'm very excited to share this with you guys, and I hope you guys enjoy it and take a little bit of this information with you today. Okay. So, this week's topic is finding your style. Whenever I did this, I based it more on the fashion style, so how you dress, what's your fashion style, your fashion sense. But I think that before you listen to it, also think about it in any type of your style. I guess it can be your style of how you live life, or the style you manage business, or the style you have around your friends. Style doesn't necessarily means fashion. In this podcast, a lot of it will be, but also keep in mind that style doesn't necessarily has to do with what you wear. So just keep an open mind to that in everything I say here. If it relates to the way that you talk, or the way that who you are, or the way you manage yourself, that is totally acceptable too. So just keep an eye for that. Style is a particular manner or technique which something is done, created, or performed, and it is also linked to fashion, especially in clothing. So again, style itself is a particular manner or technique in which something is done, created, or performed. Not necessarily how you dress up means that that's the only type of style you can have. In this case, we're gonna be more concentrating into the fashion aspect of it, especially in the clothing. We can do a rundown of some of the styles throughout the years. So I decided to start in the 18th century, since if we go back to BC, it's gonna take the whole damn hour. So let's start in the 18th century, when things got really interesting. French fashion emphasizes only formality or opulence to set the standard through Europe. So French fashion was really the capital of fashion back in the days. So whatever was done in French was really what was continued throughout Europe. A lot of power wigs for men. And then in the 1720s, men used 3 pieces of suit and women used 2 pieces of gowns. With fashion, little things like that made huge changes. So then in the 30s, in the 1730s, women's wear, men's wear emphasized shape. So both female and male wardrobes were focusing on the shapes of our bodies and making sure that they emphasize it. So social events also allowed the wealthy to display their style plus affluence. But back in the days, especially the 18th centuries, you can only really dress up very nicely if you have money. So that's why back then it was linked, style and fashion linked to affluence. Social events allow for wealthy people to display their style and affluence. The thing with now, comparing it to today's world, you don't necessarily have to be wealthy to display a good outfit. You can become very creative and still display a beautiful outfit or a beautiful style, not necessarily linked to your affluence. In the 1740s, the Rococo fashion started, and then French and English fashion represented two ends of an spectrum. So then English fashion started being also very important in Europe. In the 1770s, it was exemplified of the casual aesthetic that had taken hold. I guess in the 1770s was whenever the casual aesthetic started happening and introduced, and it was exemplified. Then more casual aesthetics happened in the 1780s, and fashion publications became vital part of a spreading trends plus fashion news. On the 1800s, I think that's how you say it, the French Revolution brought fashions that had been emerging since 1780s to the forefront, especially the classical antiquity. In the 1820s, Romanticism was the predominant fashion, which included layers of colors and exaggerated silhouettes for both men and women. It's very interesting and intriguing to know that back in the 1820s, it was also not only done to women but also men. In the 1840s, the Gothic revival and Romanticism was predominant. In the 1880s, the rigidly structured bustle was the thing, and dress reformers protested this heavy, ultra restrictive trend, which I think it's awesome that even back in 1880s there were people speaking out about how this was not okay to wear because of the amount of restrictive it would be in someone's body. Now we're getting into the 1910s, 20s, 30s, and so on, which I think is more of what we all have an idea about. In the 1910s, we maintained the elements of previous decades, but began moving towards simpler styles. World War I slowed the fashion change just because of how the economy went slower and everything was kind of in a big pause, and fashion was definitely not the exception. In the 1920s, the glitz, the glamour, the simplicity in dresses was definitely something that we think about in the 1920s. It also included shorter skirts, simple shapes, and casual suits for men. In the 1930s, it was highly influenced by Hollywood and the celebrities in it. There was also a return into conservatism. In the 1940s, fashion style due to World War II. All they wore was uniforms or clothes dictated by rationing and utility clothing. So there was not much excitement in fashion. After the war, though, Christian Dior launched a new look, which overlaid the feminine silhouette while leaning towards the sporty, casual American look. In 1950s, men leaned towards a day-to-day casual style, while women prioritized elegance, formality, and perfectly matched accessories, creating a clear gender division, which later was disrupted by new designers. In 1960, it was overall more casual. Women were more ladylike, elegance, youthful styles, and hippie styles, while men increased in color, military influence, and fashion rock icons. In the 70s, it was more of a bold and bright colors were the main thing. In the 80s, bigger men better, including women's shoulder pads, which we all remember, men power suits as well. In the 90s, grungy fashion, which is mostly casual. There was a trend of loose and oversized, and women's fashion was minimalistic. In the 2000s was kind of the same as the 90s, but after 9/11, fashion returned to conservatism. Also, with technology, fashion spread quickly and celebrities played a key role in consumer choices. And one item remained throughout the years and still does, and that is the denim jeans. We all have one pair of those. Fashion styles are influenced by several factors, including cinema, celebrities, climate, creative explorations, innovations, designs, political, economic, social, and technological situations too. By the end of this podcast, I want you guys to know why style and fashion has been so important throughout the years. Other than just, I don't want people to think that, fashion and style is all very superficial thing. I actually think that it has the power in us and in people around us, and I want all of us to use it as a tool in our lives, because I think it can positively affect the way that you see your body, the way that you can express your personality through it, how it makes you feel good about yourself too. Your outfit is self-expression, and it is essential how you feel in your clothes, because this feeling can make or break an outfit. So it's not only about looking good, but about feeling good. Your style reveals who you are in a unique way to yourself. and at the same time, it lifts you to be the best version of yourself. Growing up, I went to a Catholic school with a uniform, meaning I never had the chance to explore different clothing styles until college. Like everyone, I had some good ones and some horrible ones, but I wish they were instructions on making the whole process easier and economical back then. My mom is super good with her style. Like I love my mom's style, and looking back into like baby pictures or pictures of me of like 5 years old me, which where I could not pick an outfit, my mom would, and I looked so cute, and it was so different. It was how my style is now, which I love, which is cute but not the usual. I love that I had a good example to look for in fashion and style of my own with my mom there. I don't remember picking my outfits. I think that my mom picked my outfits for the longest, and it got to a point where I no longer had the same style as my mom. For the longest we did, but then in one moment in my life I did not. And then I also couldn't explore my style because I went to two different schools, and both schools had a uniform. So it's not that I could practice with different styles. Whenever I was able to practice, I remember it was in seventh grade, and I don't know why I was really into skater girl style. So oversized t-shirts, skinny jeans, but not super skinny. They were kind of like loose in the waist. And then Monsters hats, or like DC hats and DC sneakers, and all. It was back then I thought I was so cool, and now I look back in the pictures and I was like, yeah, mom, how do you let me wear that? And then my mom was very sweet. She was like, you just really wanted it. And even though, and we did thought about things like that, but I am happy that I see that. And she's like, I tried to tell you that it didn't look good, but you really liked it. So I just let you be, which I think is the sweetest. But yeah, definitely had a moment where I was able to start exploring my style. I remember that it went from that type of style to just straight up Tommy Hilfiger polos with jeans and Skechers. So there was no in between. It was either skater girl or like going to church. I don't know. And then I also had quinceañeras, and for quinceañeras, I wanted like, I don't even know what was my style. I honestly just went with whatever. Whatever was short and cute, I was gonna go for. Once I went to college, I did kept going with the kind of the same style I had in high school, with polos and jeans and sneakers. And for going out, I will have this very nice dresses that I will use to go to frat parties. Like, what the heck? With heels. I had huge heels too. Slowly, I started to realize that you don't wear that. That here, it's much more of that casual style. So then I started transitioning from my heels to black Nike sneakers with shorts and nice blouses, which is still not my style yet. All of this I'm telling you is because I want you to understand that finding your style might take time. And I mean, I'm telling you my story of years of like trying to figure out my style, but it gets better, I promise. So that was freshman year. And then once I went to my sophomore year, I moved to my sorority floor, which is like a sorority house. So I was able to live with a bunch of like a big group of girls. And whenever we will go out or, just go to our daily lives, I was able to see other people's clothing, other people's style, and kind of just trade around pieces of clothing. Because there were things that I would wear that a lot of people love. So we will exchange, and as we were getting ready to go out or to do whatever, we would find inspiration in each other's outfits and hype each other up. So I think a big piece in finding my style was having a group of supporting women or men surrounding me, and helping me through the process of finding what worked for me. Because then once I found that, I felt more comfortable exploring with other things that freshman year me might have not been ballsy enough to do. Once I found that situation, then I started thrift shopping, going to the boutiques downtown just for fun and finding like fun pieces that I was still unsure whether it will look good with what I already own, but I still didn't scratch it down. Just as long as it was cheap, I would just get it, wear it on the weekend, and see how it worked. And then through that, through exploration, through getting like cheap pieces that I thought might work, then I started playing around with my wardrobe. I think sophomore year was a very just experimental year in my fashion style, in the way that I was very crafty, especially for game days. I was very crafty and started like cutting things down to make it look cute. Or I will go downtown and go to a small boutique. As I started exploring with their full pieces like that, and I realized that people saw me, saw how comfortable and confident I felt in them, I was like, oh, the world is my oyster. I can wear whatever I want just as long as I like it. Clothing and fashion and style is kind of art. You make it what you want it to be. And in that way I started kind of like playing around with my clothing. And it was so much fun. Like each weekend I had a crazy outfit, and then I will go out and feel, maybe it was crazy to me, but I will go out there and use it, and I was like, I love this and it's unique and it's me. I felt positive about my body, and I felt like I was expressing my personality through my clothing. Therefore, it made me feel good with myself and my creativity, and how I can just do anything if I sit down and try to put the pieces together. I don't know. It really made me feel very powerful. And then after sophomore year, it kind of kept going through junior year as well. I think sophomore year was definitely my peak in creativity. As junior year came, I had less time. Junior and senior year, I had less time due to school. So I definitely still had the same sense of fashion and style, but it was slowing down because I didn't have as much time to, go out and look for unique pieces and bring it home and so on. So I definitely kept it going, and I still had an awesome sense of style all the way, I would say, till a year after graduating, or right after graduation. So right after graduation, then I moved into, the working life, and it's a little bit different than college. So it took me a minute to find my style, and I still think that there's some pieces missing. I definitely need to do some work to feel like, oh yeah, this is my style now. Whenever you're trying to find your style, first open up to try new different things that you usually wouldn't. And I think this is more of like a mindset step. Make sure that before you want to find your style, that your mind is open to new and different things. And that is okay. This doesn't mean that because you're open-minded and that you might try on things that are different from what you usually use, doesn't mean that you're gonna use them or pick them, but at least give it a try. So block thoughts such as, I am probably going to look bad on it. Only he can pull that off. I don't want people to think I'm too much. I will look ridiculous on it. And I really actually just compile a bunch of phrases I, myself, and friends has told themselves while getting ready to go out. And this is something that I want all of you to tell yourself and your mind. Stop. You're not your thoughts. You will glow in whatever outfit empowers you and makes you feel the most you that you could be. Talk to yourself like you were your best friend. You wouldn't tell your best friend that she cannot pull that off, a shirt or a pant or shoes or whatever it is. You're not going to tell your friend like, oh, you can't pull that off. So then don't tell yourself that in that same way. And if your mind is playing tricks with you, push away those thoughts that are not letting you be you. Make yourself comfortable, you know, before getting out there and starting this journey. So, making yourself comfortable can be done by, putting on your favorite playlist, having a dance party by yourself, or reading your favorite book. You do you, boo. Or even put on your favorite candle on, that smell, that sense. I know that it is hard, especially whenever you go out shopping, because there's a lot of these things that you can't do in public, or you can, depending on how daring you are. But try to make it as most comfortable for you. Whether it is bring your AirPods and just listen to your music, you can do that. You can do that. Or listen to a podcast. You can do that. Make yourself feel comfortable before you go try these clothes on. Find inspiration. This is one of my favorites. Sit down and find inspiration. I personally love Pinterest for this, but you can use any inspirational tool you use. I know that nowadays there's that like on Instagram, like what, like to know what you wear, where to know, or something like that, where like you can find exactly the pieces of clothing that some influencers or celebrities use. If you find that inspiring, go ahead. I find Pinterest the most inspiring. I love and live for Pinterest. And this is not only for fashion. I find inspiration in Pinterest for my home style, like how I want my home to feel, to see how I want my dining room to be set up, my living room. Same with my clothing. Sometimes I put like festival outfits aesthetic, earthy girl aesthetics. It is my inspirational tool for anything and everything in my life, whether for outfit purposes or kitchen decors, like I said. And I go here when I need some inspo in my closet. Reason why I think it is a great starting point for anyone looking for their style. So start up by looking up a word that describes you, plus aesthetic outfit. Some word examples are romantic, baddie, neutral, cute, etc. Anything really. And if you're struggling to find words that describe you or results are not what you're looking for, you can try thinking about who inspires you, whether it's a celebrity, a movie character, or anything. A bonus tip here, avoid trends. And you need to take in consideration your lifestyle as well. And then avoid trends, because at the end of the day, trends change very fast, especially nowadays where technology and Instagram and social media goes so fast. So make sure that you really sink in into what you really like and not just blindly follow trends. Pick looks that you can try with what's in your current closet. It is not fun when you spend money on clothing, which is not cheap at all, especially nowadays, and you turn out never wearing it. By doing this, you will not spend cash nor release unnecessary carbon dioxide if something doesn't turn out to be your style. So in that way, you're not wasting money in things that you can already make work out of your current outfit, your current wardrobe. And you won't be throwing away clothes that works perfectly for you. Like I said in the beginning, it takes time. Finding your style can take time. So be patient and most importantly, enjoy the journey. I know it can get frustrated, but the feeling of empowerment when you dress up on something right to you is worth it. Just take deep breaths or breaks when you feel like it's too much. Finding your style can be something that you can do actively. Like, I want to find my style by the end of the month and I'm going to follow these steps and consciously, actively look for clothing that fit that style. You can do that. Or you can take it easier too, because that adds a lot of pressure and can make you buy stuff that you thought you were going to use but then you never did. Keep in mind of the things that you're looking for in your new style. And if you find something good and if you don't, then you slowly build up your wardrobe little by little. In this way, you're not going to have a huge spending in clothing all at once. but except you're gonna be slowly building your wardrobe. Let's say one piece of clothing per month. Remember, your outfit is self-expression. It is essential how you feel in your clothes because this feeling can make or break an outfit. So if you can find your style and you can feel empowered and awesome and it makes you feel a positive effect on the way that you see your body and express your personality, feel good about yourself, I want that for you. I want all of you to feel empowered, to feel beautiful, like the beautiful human beings that you are. I want you to enhance your personality and showcase that to everyone around you. With that being said, this is the end of this podcast. And I am so grateful of you guys being here. I hope you guys had a great time listening to me this week. And I'll see you next Monday. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram to be part of the conversation and to rate and review this podcast so more people can find out about it and more people can enjoy this and more people get to grow with us. See you next week and let's begin again. I forgot to say this thing. I want you all to feel like baby me or baby you. I feel like when we were babies, we were super confident with what we were. Or overall, we felt very confident and unapologetically. So, I want you to feel like baby you or baby me or sophomore year me. But I love you guys. Bye.